Take it away. Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 64 of the Spy Squadron. That is one full stack of blocks in Minecraft.
What's this? A new setup?
No.
Oh.
Yes!
Yes, it is. Why is it a new setup, Reese?
Because if you watched last week's episode, which you should if you didn't go watch it, we are doing deck lists now, like we said at the beginning.
Yeah.
So this setup is our little deck building deck list. We want to do things a little bit differently. Rather than just giving you a deck tech, we want to do a deck build. We want to build it here in front of you. You guys get the full process. We talk through why we pick certain cards.
For us personally, deck techs are made for decks that have won tournaments or done stuff. So if we win something, we might do a deck tech on the deck that we won with, but without any sort of evidence that this is going to be good. We'd like to run you guys through our processes when building a deck and when constructing a deck for the first time, what we want to put in it, and what we're going to do. So, if you saw our video last week, we went over a couple of the big contenders from the previous big tournament. What we're going to do is we're going to go through, and us together as the Spy Squadron are going to build our own version of Yoda Yellow. I've got SWODB up here,
and you can see
you
it
guys can see
there.
down here. So I'm going to be kind of pointing
Leading
out
the
where
charge.
things are. We're going to build it on. We're going to kind of like build it on SWODB, and then also we have the cards in front of us here. We have all my cards that are going to definitely be all in the right place and super organized.
You might be sitting there going, well, then what? And then I tell you, go check out the gameplay because we're playing this deck in the gameplay.
I will be playing this deck in the gameplay this week. We have not filmed it yet.
Not yet, but we will.
Yeah.
So
first things first. Yoda. Get your hyperspace Yoda.
The gun the Clone Wars have.
I got about 6 hyperspace Yodas.
Yeah, we have a lot of hyperspace Yodas.
We are using, for today's convenience,
Pike Palace, because
Palace.
Yoda is a criminal. He's a war criminal.
Known criminal. But yeah, so when you're looking at a deck for the first time, what is the first thing that you do?
I decide the main engines I want in the deck.
Mm-hmm.
So I go, here are my cards that I want to run. These are the ones I have to have and they have to be synergized with.
Yep, absolutely. I kind of agree with that. It's more of a, what does this deck want to do?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And with that comes, what engines do I want to put in this deck? Like, what does my general gameplay want to look like?
Oh, I love general gameplay. But yeah, that's essentially, I think with this deck, there are 2 cards that stand out for us. One that's my favorite from set 3, one that's his favorite from set 1.
Mm-hmm.
Now there are 2 of them.
And you're my only hope.
Which
so this is
really good cards.
Yes, really good cards, especially in this deck. Yoda's ability being action, tap him. If a unit left play, doesn't need to be yours, doesn't need to be your opponent's,
Bounce units.
just a unit. Left play this phase, draw a card, then put a card from your hand on top or bottom of your deck. Very useful if you have cards that are bad in certain matchups, just get them out of there.
Cycle, filter your hand, get it out of here.
And then really good for things like You're My Only Hope, which will look at the top card of the deck and go,
play!
Now, this deck isn't going to be exactly the deck that we have on the thing. It's there's a few things that I personally would like to add to it, and there's a few things that I'm sure Reese will be adding to it as we go along. But first things first, we're going to go through our cards, grab out the ones that we want. So, we're going to start off with grabbing those out. So I'm going to grab now there are 2 of them. If you want to go through that pile there and grab the 3.
Boom, boom, boom.
That is also a card that we're going to be using, Grogu.
So he's a solid choice for the starter for now there are 2 of them because he is a force unit.
Yep. And there are my 3. Now there are 2 of them. So we're going to go into SWODB. We're going to go down to our 2 costs. Grogu.
So right now we're kind of
3 Grogus.
We're kind of just adding in the no-brainers, right?
Yeah. So adding in the things that are definitely going in the deck. Like before we even really think about it, we got 3. Now there are 2 of them, and we got 3. You're My Only Hope.
And you are.
So far, easy 9 cards in the deck,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
We have what we're starting with, the Grogu, what we're using to move forward, which is now the 2 of them, and the You're My Only Hopes.
And then...
Grab any You're My Only Hopes.
No. We're so unorganized. I'm so unorganized. Here we go. 3, you are my only hope.
Yep. I'd also like to... These may get cut, but I'm going to grab these 3 R2-D2s as well.
Just in case.
Because there is something I would like with R2-D2 to see if you'd be interested in putting in the deck.
But I think to start us off, we've got our engine now. So we've got our main cards. We've got You're My Only Hope, and we've got, now there are 2 of them.
Yep.
And then to work with that, we've already started the synergy with now there are 2 of them. So in this deck, we want all of our turn 1 plays to be targets for now there are 2 of them.
Yes, absolutely. So anything that we get, we want to be able to get something from
Republic,
it.
something like that.
R2-D2 may be the exception, because there's an interesting interaction with another card that I wouldn't mind trying in the deck, personally, but it may just be too clunky.
McClunky. So, what do we do next now?
So now we're going to grab some cards that we're going to be getting off these cards, right? So that's going to be, unfortunately, Reese pulled all the Kiani-Mundis. He did forget his folder today.
Whoops.
So it's going to be a case of, they'll be in the gameplay because we filmed that later on. We can go grab it, but you won't see them right here. But we're going to put, obviously, 3 Kiani-Mundis in.
He's so good.
He's so good. We're going to be putting in
3 Plo Koon.
3 Plo Koons.
Ko Toya.
We're going to be putting in 3 of those. The other R2-D2 for another turn 1 play. We're going to be putting in 3 Obi-Wan Kenobis. And we're going to be putting in 3 Lukes.
Yes. Luke Skywalker's
all 3
obviously
of
our
those
big
things.
payoff.
And that's kind of... We've now completed, I would say, the core of the deck.
Yeah, that's all the stuff we want to start with, because that's our... These are all our payoffs. These are all our big win cards, big energy kind of plays to make sure that we're getting ahead. These are our big value cards.
Absolutely.
Luke is our bomb, and then being able to cheat out these 5-cost Kiadi-Mundis, these Plo Koons early with cards like now there are 2 of them, and then being able to potentially get a turn 3 Obi-Wan Kenobi off of You're My Only Hope is super duper duper good.
Absolutely.
I'm going to get the Lukes and Obis out of the folder. Obi-Wan Kenobi.
3 Lukes should be in here.
Nope.
No?
Nope.
And they are somewhere in another pile, which we'll also grab, but...
We'll get them later. We'll get them later.
I've definitely seen them. I must just put them in a different pile, but that's okay. This is the first time we're doing this.
We'll be
So it
more
might be
organized next time.
A little bit. Wait, why? Said we were recording it on the same day. But yeah, the Lukes are probably in a pile over there. I can't get up because I'm mic'd in. But we didn't want to bring every single card that I had over here. But we didn't. So that's all been put through. We now have the core of the deck.
Cool.
Right?
Yep.
This is essentially what the deck needs to function. And this is the core of the loop that we want to play.
Yes, sir.
Now, how do we decide what we're going to fill in the other 21 cards with?
Well, we want cards that synergize with all of this.
Yes.
So we need now we need engine starters. We've got the end of it, we've got the outcome, but how is this all getting started up? And it's starting with, so far we've got Grogu and R2, but we do need more turn 1 plays. And we want, we need Republic, and we need Force. So I think that we get the 2-cost Padawan Starfighter.
Yep.
Because that's a Republic and a Jedi card. Which means it has
this is a Jedi card.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
interesting.
It's got relevant keywords,
I mean, it
which
makes
means
sense.
that we can do that, play that early, And it's a decent space unit that gets a bump if we control a force
One
unit,
Starfighter. There it is.
which we definitely do control force units. There are a
Yes,
whole
we
pack.
do like having force units in here.
Now, another one that you could run would be Padme, or there is a one that I personally really like. And that is, I believe it's Republic Delegate. Favorable Delegate. There's a 2-cost 1/5 Republic that on play you get to draw a card, and when it's defeated, you discard a card. But in the early game you play it, you draw a card, you don't lose any value, then you turn 2, now there are 2 of them, and it lets you maintain that. And it's a 1/5, so a lot of the time people aren't going to be killing it.
Yeah.
But
Definitely grab that out and put it in
the maybe board.
the maybe board, I think.
I'm thinking that the Padawan Starfighter is definitely the better choice for right now because you get a good
definitely
solid,
I think put the
space.
Padawan Starfighter in.
It's because you need a healthy mix. I think any deck should have, if you're going to go turn 1 plays, you want about 12 around that, and you want at least 3 of them to be space. So you want, even if you go 9 non-space turn 1 plays, you do at least want 3 space plays, especially if you come up against space race decks or things like that. You need to be able to have a deck that can do something against it.
Now, looking at this, 5 cost is, for You're My Only Hope, 5 cost is the kind of key card that brings out a lot of, that is the best to bring it out, because it's just pay 3, get a 5 cost. So I think adding another 5 cost in here, I've seen people going with the Obi-Wan's Aether Spritz.
I love that.
And I think against a meta that has been going more space focused, I think this is a really good pull.
Especially because you swing, you ping 1 to it, and you deal 2 damage to another space unit. So, if they have, 2, let's say they've got Kylo's Silencer and then a Mercenary Gunship, you can 2 for 1. Because you swing, ping 1 onto this, trade with it, and then ping 2 onto another unit. Now, you won't be able to get it out when now there are 2 of them because it's a vehicle unit, but that doesn't matter because you play it with You're My Only Hope or you hard play it for 5. It doesn't really matter too much.
And also, one of the interesting things about, I'm just going to double check it. So now there are 2 of them, states that you play a non-vehicle unit, but the unit you control can be a vehicle unit.
So you can have a Padawan Starfighter turn 1 and turn 2.
Go into a Kiani Mundi.
Yeah, or a Plo Koon or something like that.
Or something like that. So just because it can't be brought out with it doesn't mean it can't be used to bring other stuff out with it. I think we're going to go through a couple of absolute staples now.
Yeah.
Pull out some of the staple cards, and that being Yoda. Yeah. I think is
100%.
Yoda and Yoda.
He's a Force unit.
Yeah.
He is a Jedi unit.
And that will be in this little section here, so I'll grab those out.
Now,
I think the other thing we could go with, it's not going to be not a target for.
Now there are 2 of them.
Now there are 2 of them, but another choice that we have is Quill for our turn 1 play.
I like Quill, but I was actually going to suggest instead of Quill, because I think it is so important to you. You have to have it. So I think that he's probably not one we want. But I think Outspoken Representative. Because both of our turn 2 plays from now there are 2 of them are
Republic, and then would turn on the Sentinel as well to keep it from like
and
Plo Koon coming in ambushing.
If it dies, you get to use Yoda's ability, and you make a clone,
which then you can trade off to use Yoda's ability again. So that's not, honestly, that's a really good hit. I would actually prefer that over Quill. I think you're right. I think that's a really good.
I think that one,
and we are super biased.
We are, and
you justified it really well though.
We're biased and we're right.
But so it's Outspoken Representative. We're going to be putting some yodels.
Good old yodeler.
Good old yodeler.
But that sets us up because now our 12 turn 1 plays, we've got 9 Republic, and we've got 3 Force. That's
I think 12 turn 1 plays is a really nice place to sit.
I think most people can agree that that's the.
I go down
That's
to
what I mean.
9 sometimes
Ooh.
in tight decks,
Yeah.
but I don't go below 9.
Yeah, for me personally, my rule is I don't really want it below like 11 at the worst, because that means I can go 3, 3, 3, 2. And I never want to go below that. But I think 9 in this is solid, especially when Outspoken Representative is really good. And if you get an R2D2 and an Outspoken Representative, you can always pitch it to then top 3 to...
Everything in here that I need to put in here. I do.
All right.
So
Now that we've got some of those, we need to find kind of what the deck is missing. What's the in between? Where are we at now? What do we need to close this off? And I think we need some of those more mid-rangey units. Some of the 3 costs, more kind of like Yoda, 3 and 4 costs that we need to play in the interim. Because obviously we definitely want to always get You My Only Hope, and now there are 2 of them off, but we still need units to maintain that value. We want to get a lead, and we want to just snowball that forward. So I'm thinking Kanans.
yeah, I think he keeps the Force, he keeps the Jedi that we can then start to ping off. Has a really good stat line to be able to stick around to. If you're versing something that's clearing off all these like smaller units, maybe a 5 cost is going to be able to keep him in there.
Yeah.
And he'll be in that pile.
So Kanan is just good because he keeps that. He can heal you as well. And he's a threat that people straight up usually just go, well, don't want that, I'm going to kill him. Which is actually good for us. Because if they do that, they use removal or they trade into Kanan, and we get to then use Yoda's ability.
Absolutely.
Now...
And also the Restore is...
it's really nice.
Really nice.
Yeah. I mean, like, this deck's going to heal a lot, but that's good. You want it to. Now, another one I think we want to put in this deck is Ezra.
Yeah. Ezra is one of those cards that really comes down, and same sort of thing, is that kind of threat that needs to be removed. You'll find him in this pile.
Especially in this deck, you swing something, it dies, you tap Yoda, put a card from your hand at the top of the deck, swing with Ezra, you've just drawn a card.
Yeah.
You've lost nothing, you've just drawn a card.
And you can also just play it,
Yeah.
right? You can be like, awesome, I'm going to draw a card, I'm going to put this on top, and then I'm just going to swing and play that card.
That's pretty huge.
Awesome. Yep, so Ezra, let me get that in the deck.
We love Ezra.
Ezra Bridger.
He's so beautiful.
I think we have a lot of ground units at the moment.
Oh, yeah.
I think we need
Where's
something
the
to bulk
space?
out the space.
Because we've only got 6 space units right now.
I think...
And that won't do.
For me, Concord Dawn Interceptor.
I agree. I mean, it's just good, right? Like, because with this deck, we don't need to go heavy to space. We do want to stall space, though.
Yes, absolutely. We have a few things that can kind of get there. We have the Aether Sprite. We have Luke can remove it.
And then we've got the Padawan can trade early if it needs to.
Yes.
And then by having Concord Dawn Interceptors...
The Sentinel is going to be huge in space against these, like, a Sabine Red and a Sabine Red.
And then if we need to, we can always just flip
Django.
the big man
and kill something up there. Yeah. Awesome. Let's chuck that in.
100%.
That would be in.
If only. For a cause I believe in was blue, because wow, there is a lot of hero on this table right now.
Well, that's actually one of the reasons why this deck isn't running, and it's a card that I've considered running in this deck, but have decided not to. Is Rey.
Yeah,
because almost all of the units are hero.
You're never gonna get the other
so it's one of those situations where it's really tough to be able to justify Rey, because you're almost never going to get that extra
I think
bit.
she's worth it because in this deck she's a 5/7 that heals.
Space for you.
I think that she is worth it in this deck because she's not going to shield them, but she will heal them, and that's a nice synergy with Aether Sprite because you can swing, heal the Aether Sprite for 2, swing and then ping 2, and even if it's one of those things where we just run her at 2, so that way we have 8 targets for the turn 2. Rather than the 6. But I think definitely Concord Dawn.
Definitely Concord Dawn Interceptor. I think... let me have a look. What else can we...
How many cards have we got so far? I think
so far we have
45. So we've got 5 slots left.
5 slots left.
And now I guess let's see, what are we missing? What can those 5 cards be? Because that's a 3 of and a 2 of. And then we can get some more in and make some cuts and change some ratios.
Yep. I believe with how much force we have in the deck, a decent card to add here would be
Mystic Reflection.
Wasn't going to go with Mystic Reflection.
Jedi Lightsaber.
No, but that is definitely one that we should add.
And the Force is with me?
And the Force is with me.
There we go.
So
I got there eventually.
I think maybe 2 Forces with me, 2 Jedi Lightsaber.
Yeah, I'm down. I'm down to clown with that. That's good. 2 Forces with me is really solid because you can win games off of the back of it, especially when you go turn 1 Grogu, turn 2 Ki-Adi-Mundi. From now there are 2 of them. Pay 4, give Ki-Adi-Mundi a shield, make him a 7, a 7/9.
Absolutely.
Swing at your base. He's pretty solid if he does that. And the Jedi Lightsaber is just good. Jedi Lightsabering your Grogu on turn 2 if you don't have it now. There are 2 of them. Jedi Lightsabering Kanan, Ezra, Yoda, Plo Koon, Obi-Wan, Luke, Yoda Leader. Jedi Lightsabering literally any of them is going to be good. So you can even, if you need to, Jedi Lightsaber your outspoken representative and just have a 3/6 Sentinel.
So we have 1 slot left. What I would be interested in seeing if we could fit into this deck would be Perilous Position.
I wouldn't mind having 2 of them. I think it's just really solid.
We have to cut 1 card out though.
So I think if we scroll up a little bit, I think we can probably drop one of our turn 1 plays down to 11. Turn 1 plays.
I would put it as Grogu.
I
think Grogu is probably the least one that's giving us the least value off rip.
I agree. So I think that Grogu can go down to 2,
and then we can put 2.
We can put 2 Perilous Positions. Perilous Position is just so good. It gives -/. It taps
I think being able to
down.
put it. I think like there is part of me that would be like, oh, maybe we don't want to put Perilous Position in, but it being able to just be slapped on a leader on their flip turn is such a wild.
You want to do this into the aggro, right? Like someone flips Sabine and you go, boom.
Absolutely.
And then they can't do anything if they're playing Django. You hit Django and make them a 1/5. You know, you hit your Nile Says, make them a 0/5. It's just such a good card to use against leaders, especially when our leader flips a bit later and we're not green, so we don't have the ramp.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's what needs to happen.
So this is our deck. This is the 50 cards that we've created here.
Show us the deck image. Let's go.
So this is the deck image we've just put together. This is the kind of thing that I would do as a first draft.
Yep.
Right?
And then you play a couple games and you see what's...
Proof of concept / first draft to me, where I'm putting in all the cards that I think are going to be really good in this, and I'm going to find out what cards
can go
work, like actually work. If maybe Kanan doesn't feel good in this deck, right? He's a good card,
he is a good
and
card.
he fit into a lot of decks.
He does.
Maybe in this particular deck, he doesn't fit very well, and there's not really this kind of space for him that you really want to. I've just never found any times when I really want to play him. I'll either have a You're My Only Hope to play one of these Obi-Wan Aether Sprite, Ki-Adi-Mundi, or Plo Koon, or I'm happy with playing like an R2D2 and something else, or like I'm happy to play a Perilous Positions and do something else. So that card might get cut. I might bring something in like Hello There. I might bring in something like if I'm finding I'm not able to deal with large threats, I might find some space to bring in something like Velvet Dragon. And there's a lot of things that can kind of be brought in for that kind of like removal package. We've seen this deck being more of that unit-centric, value-generating deck, which I really like.
I also really
but there's definitely a world where we can be You're My Only Hoping vanquishers, right?
Yeah. And vigilances and stuff.
Yeah, and it's one of those situations where there's a lot that could change in this deck, and you'll notice, to me, this is what my first drafts always look like. 3 off, 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 2 off, 2 off.
Opening a few
so if I'm finding Plo Koon is just never getting that coordinate off, I'm never getting that like good thing, I might be like, okay, I'm happy to swap off Plo Koon because I'm finding that I can find these two, like the Ki-Adi-Mundi and the Aether Sprite, just as easily. I might take that out. I might try putting in some Hans.
Yeah.
I might try putting in something like that to kind of put it together. So I think one of one thing that's going to be really interesting, if you guys have enjoyed this kind of deck building, check out the gameplay for this one, because what's going to happen in the gameplay is we're going to play the game, and then we're going to we're going to do best of 3.
Yep.
So we're going to play 2 or 3 games.
Yep.
And then afterwards, we're going to go, okay, what cards did we like? What cards we didn't? What changes would we make now that we've played a few games?
Yeah.
And always make sure that you're playing more than one game.
Yeah.
Never change a deck after one game,
because
unless there's something seriously
You're not
wrong.
getting the scope, and if something goes wrong in that game, but it won't go wrong in the next 5 games, then you're using one very small example to dictate how you actually change the deck, which is not what you want to do. You don't want to make that one mistake and then just go, well, this deck's terrible, when realistically it may even just be a misplay of your own, and the deck is good, you just weren't able to use it to its fullest extent.
And I personally would like to, there's part of me that would love to add the starter deck R2D2 in. The one costs 1/4.
What was the little combo you were thinking?
Foresight. Is a card that I'm really interested in trying to see how effective that can be as like a turn 1 R2D2 Foresight. Because you do check before the draw, so that would be the turn 2. You'd be able to draw that card, and then so you'd essentially be able to you'd play 2 cards turn 1, but you'd immediately get one of those cards back,
pretty cool.
and then then it's a 2/5.
I like Foresight a lot in Thrawn.
Absolutely. The problem with Thrawn is it's the turn after, so
you just have to remember it.
Yeah, you just have to remember it through the you get at the beginning of the turn you
draw, and then you look at it. And then when it comes around to the next draw, you get to guess the is it number of the cost of the card?
No, it's the card.
The card?
Name of the card.
Yeah. But that, I mean, you can always just jot it down or something like that. I don't think that's illegal in the game.
I'm not sure what the rules are of writing down. I don't believe notepads have been taken away. But I definitely think there's a situation where it could be interesting like that. I think the familiar, favorable delegate. I think that's a really interesting play. I think what comes with the favorable delegate is that wolf starship.
Yeah.
So you can turn 1, play the favorable delegate, and then turn 2, immediately just bounce it to hand, then resource the next turn.
It's not even that. It's just wolf starship in this deck is so solid that it might
find a way in anyway.
It might be the cut for the Padawan Starfighter, because you can play it, bounce something, and trigger Yoda's ability because a unit left to play.
If we have a look, what's its
2/1, one cost 2/1.
What's its traits?
Republic, vehicle fighter.
Okay, that's some pretty good traits. Like the Republic in there is huge, as we've said. What's it? Wolf Pack Escort. Republic vehicle fighter, very nice. So you may return a friendly non-leader, non-vehicle unit to its owner's hand. So essentially, you play the favorable delegate, you draw a card, you then next turn, pay the wolf back, bounce the delegate, play a 2 cost, then next turn resource the delegate. Get it out of there.
Get him out of here. Get it out of here.
And because it isn't defeated, you don't have to get the downside for it.
You can just bounce it and draw a card, and then next turn you can just play it again or resource it.
But yeah, that's definitely something to be looking at. Obviously, there's a lot that you could be looking at with this deck and how to play it. I think the green version of it is super solid as well.
Oh yeah.
And I think that there's a lot of stuff that you can do with it with that. But
100% true.
This is going to be a slightly shorter episode because I think it's going to be good to check out the gameplay on this one.
Which will be probably slightly longer.
Slightly longer gameplay because we're going to play the best lead and then we're going to discuss the deck and how it performed and what changes we'd make from it there. So getting this hit and then getting the next hit on the gameplay. So check that one out. Next week, we're going to be doing a very similar thing, but we're going to be doing it for a Django deck.
Django first.
So check out, if you enjoyed this, definitely check out next week's where we're going to be talking about Django Fett. And then we will see you there.
Bye.
Bye.